Hey, Stone Cousins. Y'all already know what time it is. Animated horror stories. Animated horror stories. Dum, dum, dum. Dum, dum, dum. Boom, boom, boom. Where we at, Mr. Creepy House? Well, we're gonna watch the three true Uber horror stories animated. And Uber and Lyft has been cutting up lately. All the transportations have been cutting up lately, being weird. The drivers and the passengers. Yeah, I ain't just about to get off the hook. You know, some passengers be attacking some drivers be attacking some passengers. So let's see what these stories are about to be based on, because it ain't much other than that. Y'all go on and grab a blunt, please. Grab a bag of chips. Grab a bottle of water. And grab a blanket so you can be snug. And that's only if you got your AC on. If it's hot as hell, don't put the blanket on. Just keep it close by you, just in case. You know, because I know I always like a blanket when I watch stories. You know, it. Oh, as always, the following stories are inspired loosely based on true events. All characters and events taking place in this video are fictional. In reality, no one was hurt mentally or physically. Underneath this box right here says if you was a child, this is your time to leave. You can still like the video, but don't watch it because this ain't for you. This is for grown folks only. That's what he says. I shouldn't even be seeing it because my shit is grown folks only regardless.
Fun. It's fun. I don't want.
In this video, an Uber driver was nearly
Y'all, off the bat, we 18 seconds in. She biting him? Why ain't nobody hitting her? Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Fun. It's fun. I don't want.
In this video, an Uber driver was nearly strangled by a woman in his car and he couldn't escape. The following story is loosely based on that horrifying event.
Well, we could light our blunts right now if we want to, y'all.
A few years ago, when I was an Uber driver, I often received bad feedback from my customers because of my haphophobia.
Why?
That was why every time a customer accidentally touched my hand when they gave me the money, I would get extremely frightened. That day, I confirmed a ride from around a cemetery,
give you some money.
and that was when things got worse.
Uber is all digital.
I remembered very clearly about that customer, a 50-year-old woman named Blake. Hi,
Okay.
how do you do? I greeted her first, but she just got in my car and closed the door without saying a word. Maybe she was in a hurry, or she didn't like talking to strangers, so never mind. A few minutes later, she fell asleep as if she were very tired. Well, her destination was 30 minutes away, a long, quiet ride. So I turned on the radio to hear the news. They were talking about an old case that had just been reopened. The victim was a young girl.
Hey, turn it off.
The woman suddenly woke up, making me jump in fear.
Oh,
Well,
baby.
haphophobia was annoying. Oh, okay. I quickly turned it off. Then her attitude suddenly changed. She became more fierce. When I looked in the rearview mirror, I saw that she kept scratching her face and neck.
Ma'am, are you okay?
I was
I would've pulled
worried
over and
and
got out the
actually
car.
a bit
My own car.
scared.
I'm not lying.
Just thinking about accidentally touching her hand made me shiver.
None of your business. Keep driving.
Since then, I didn't dare to say anything else. About 5 minutes later, I noticed that she started to behave strangely. She kept scratching all over her body, and her mouth was making small growling sounds as if she were very annoyed. She even pulled her own hair. Through the rearview mirror, I could see her fierce, bloodshot eyes and bared teeth.
My daughter! My daughter!
That was all I caught of what she mumbled. Out of curiosity, I asked again.
Ma'am?
Why is you
Is
asking
everything
anything?
fine?
But instead of answering me, she kept mumbling something I could no longer understand. What happened to her? Was she possessed by a ghost? I was so scared that my limbs were shaking. I didn't dare to move nor turn around to see her. I just tried to finish the ride. The car was still on the right track, and it was 20 minutes to the destination. Why was the time passing so slowly?
Hey, man, it's only been
That
10
woman
minutes.
now stopped pulling her hair, but she kept scratching the chair instead. Her voice
Girl,
was
you can't
lowered,
do this in
and
my
her
car.
mouth was still muttering something, but I couldn't hear a word. I tried to tell myself that everything would be fine, but my heart was still pounding wildly in my chest. I was really scared by her weird behavior. Should I call the police or take her to the hospital?
Ma'am, do you want me to call your daughter to pick you up?
This time,
man.
the woman glared at me.
My daughter? What did you do to my daughter? I didn't do anything. I just wanted to ask. What did you do to my daughter?
The crazy woman just rushed to strangle me. I was panic-stricken, and my whole body stiffened. She was touching me. I couldn't breathe. I tried to pull her hand away. The woman was still screaming, but my ears couldn't hear anything other than my own fear. I couldn't struggle, and I didn't dare to do that. I didn't want to get in trouble.
I can't breathe. My daughter! What did you do?
Our
I did
fight
nothing.
attracted several passerbys' attention.
I'm just the Uber driver. I didn't do anything wrong.
I screamed while that woman was clutching my neck from behind. I couldn't fight back because people might think I was doing harm to her.
Hey man, just get out of the car.
A passerby said. I wished I could. My limbs went numb and my chest was heavy.
She's choking him.
I don't want to get in trouble.
I struggled helplessly to get out. She kept grabbing my neck and pulling me back. Everyone started whispering.
Call 911. We need to call 911.
Like,
A woman outside screamed while filming the scene.
No way!
I can't breathe. I'm just an Uber driver.
A man reached in and tried to remove the woman's hand from my neck.
I don't want to touch her.
When she let me go, I could breathe again. But it didn't end there. The woman suddenly rushed over to bite me.
I knew she was biting him.
Stop it!
I burst into tears, but she was ignoring my begging. I screamed in pain while a few people outside tried to push her away. I struggled, finally getting rid of her hand. I quickly got out of the car and locked the door. Some people helped me sit down on the sidewalk, while Blake was still frantically screaming. Everything was so horrifying. I was so scared that I couldn't breathe and passed out.
He got choked out in
Soon
there.
after that, the police arrived and arrested the woman, and I was taken to the hospital for treatment. Since then, I quit driving for Uber, but that didn't help me get over the nightmare that day. Up until now, I still can't understand why she did this to me.
crazy. Off jump.
In this video, a girl hurriedly got into a car as she thought it was her Uber. Unfortunately, this was a terrible mistake. It turned out she took the wrong car and became the murderer's victim. The following story was loosely based on this heartbreaking event.
What did I say, y'all?
It was a Sunday evening. My college friends and I went out to drink at another friend's house, which was about an hour's drive from mine. Knowing that we would have a big night tonight and might have alcohol, I decided to call Uber rather than drive. We played until midnight. After a few hours, some people left, so it was time for me to go home too. It was already 2 a.m., and I started to lose patience because I couldn't reach any car. There was no other choice: get a taxi, or else I would have to walk home alone. And who wanted to walk home from a party? I tried again a few more times, and finally a driver took my ride. The phone said he was currently a 10-minute drive from me. However, 30 minutes passed, and the driver still hadn't arrived. I started to feel annoyed. I opened the booking page to contact the driver. His name was Ben, 25 years old, and seemed to be a new driver because I didn't see him having much feedback. When I was about to press the contact button to reach Ben, my phone suddenly rang to announce that he had arrived. Meanwhile, a taxi pulled up in front of me. The driver kept honking and flashing the car lights, signaling me to hurry up.
Chill, bro. Chill.
I mumbled as I opened the back door. "Please put on your seatbelt." He greeted me with a smile. I also smiled back. After I buckled my seatbelt, Ben started driving away. Indeed, the party had exhausted me and made me sleepy. "A big party, huh?" Ben brought me back to consciousness.
Yeah.
I replied. "Aren't you afraid to order an Uber at this hour?" Ben shot me a weird look.
Afraid?
Until now.
What do you mean?
Anyway, this wasn't the first time I've booked an Uber at this hour, so there was nothing to be afraid of. Ben suddenly laughed. "You are so funny." I have heard many creepy stories about Uber drivers, but never experienced one. There was something about this man that gave me goosebumps. I looked at Ben through the rearview mirror. He seemed so different from his profile picture on Uber. I was about to break the ice when I noticed he was looking at me. He kept glancing at my every move, and it annoyed me quite a bit. When I moved to the right side of the car, he adjusted the mirror to the right, which made me feel even more creeped out. I didn't know what to do. I could only adjust my sitting position to avoid eye contact as much as possible. I was so confused and perplexed. I didn't realize that the path I was walking on wasn't the right one.
Ben, are you sure you know the right way?
I asked hesitantly. "Sure. Is there a problem?" He looked at me in the rearview mirror again.
No, just I never took this way to get home.
I said. "Home? What home?" Ben didn't look in the rearview mirror anymore. He turned his head, looked directly into my eyes, and gave me a weird smile. That was when I was totally sure that this Ben and Ben the driver I ordered were two different people. My heart jumped. My hand reached for the handle, but it was locked.
Go from this Ben and not
Suddenly,
Ben.
Ben smashed the accelerator, and the car immediately rushed forward. My whole body was glued to the back seat. It wasn't long before he braked again, and I almost hit my head against the front seat. I screamed in terror when I realized it was a corpse.
Please,
That was
let
the
me out
real
of the
Ben.
car!
I cried, then banged on the door. But Ben just looked at me and smiled
Right,
horribly.
Ben.
He sped away faster. I tried to open the car door to get out, but it was in vain. Meanwhile, Ben seemed to enjoy looking at me trying.
He ain't Ben, girl.
Let me out! Please!
I cried and banged on the door. A strong hope of life arose. I dashed towards the door with all my might, and this time, the door actually popped open. Without hesitation, I jumped out of the car.
Shit.
Hey! Ben tried to get me, but it was too late. Lucky for me, I was still alive after the jump. I had a hard time breathing while my whole body was in pain. I couldn't let my life end that way, so I suppressed the pain and tried to run to the alley. I could still hear Ben's car chase after me, so I just kept running. The car resounded closer and closer.
No.
So did the
That
police
close?
siren. I was saved.
Keep going!
I used all my strength to run to the police car before I fainted from exhaustion. When I woke up, I saw some police officers in the room. I burst into tears after realizing that I eventually escaped from the killer. That man was wanted, so I knew that I was safe. However, I would never forget that horrifying night with that Uber murderer.
That man's a what? That was 10.
The story I am about to tell you happened a few years ago, but every time I think about it, it just sends shivers down my spine.
Why? Girl,
After
why?
my 17th birthday, I got my first job at Dairy Queen, and I chose to work the evening shift to better fit my schedule. That day, I was about to change clothes when a customer walked in. "Yeah, I want a coffee-flavored upside-down blizzard, please," he said before I asked.
You like coffee
So I
ice cream?
received the money, gave him the bill,
I love
and turned around to make the blizzard. But I had a strange feeling that that guy was staring
Ew.
at me from behind. When I brought out the blizzard, he smiled.
Sir, here's your ice cream.
He took it and went to the table. There was no one else coming in, so I thought I had some free time to check the stall's record. That ka-ching sound caught my attention.
Hell no.
However, I couldn't spot where the sound came from. Everyone was focusing on their own business, and no one was holding a camera. Again, I quickly turned around. No one seemed to be taking pictures. "Hey, are you okay?" My coworker Jacob asked me.
No, boy.
Yeah,
you don't hear
I'm
that shit?
fine.
I replied. "Are you sure? You look a bit down." I had been working and studying against the clock for a few days, so maybe it was overwhelming for me. So he told me to take out the trash and then go home early. The lights in the parking lot were always on at this time, but not today. The street looked so dark. Well, I had to admit that in the dark, the parking lot looked so intimidating.
Who's there?
I
No.
turned around startled.
You know
But
what
no
it is.
one
Don't
was
wear the
there.
glasses.
Ah!
As soon as I turned around, my eyes were hurt by the flash. I slumped down in shock. The shutter sound didn't stop, which confused my brain. I tried to locate where it came from, but there was only darkness and silence. So I hurriedly put the trash in the bin and returned to the store. There were clearly footsteps behind me. I didn't dare to look back. Maybe someone or even something was
Gonna
waiting
blind your ass
behind me.
again.
I walked faster, and that thing sped up too. "Maddie!" Jacob just opened the door suddenly, which startled me. "What's wrong?" he immediately asked. I was too scared to say anything.
Boy.
"Are you okay, Maddie?" Jacob was quite worried. I honestly told him what happened. It turned out that he got even more worried than I was. Should I call the police?"
He should.
he suggested, but I didn't think so. We didn't have any proof, nor the portrait of that guy, so there was no way the police would believe us. Don't worry, Maddie. I won't let that guy touch a strand of your hair. Jacob comforted me.
It better
So
not be
for a
Jacob.
week, Jacob took out the trash for me and then waited for me to leave the stall first. I didn't dare to step outside during my shift, only standing behind the counter. After a while, I asked about that incident, and Jacob confirmed that nothing was suspicious in the parking lot and told me not to worry. Well, I guessed he had already left. That
When did he
day,
leave?
I started to take out the trash again. Now the lights were on, so I felt more secure. But when I just put the trash in the bin, the light suddenly went out. The road seemed so dangerous.
Girl,
That sound made me jump out of my skin. My heart pounded with fear. I walked, trying to go as fast as possible. Then, when the door was right in front of me, suddenly a hand grabbed me from behind.
Ida.
I tried to scream. He covered my
Girl,
mouth so
bite
tightly
him. Why are you
and
trying
hurt
to
me a lot.
scream?
And no matter how much I tried to get away, the kidnapper kept dragging me along.
Oh, shit.
I
There
bit
you
him
go.
on the hand.
Help me! Please!
I took that opportunity to scream out, hoping someone would hear me and come save me. But no one heard it.
No.
I was scared, trying to scratch
again
and hit
and get
everything
away.
around I could to get rid of that person. My hand got squeezed so hard. Looking at the Dairy Queen door getting farther and farther away, I knew my life would end here and
Where's
today.
Jacob at?
Help me! Please help!
Maddie!
Jacob! Where you been
At this
boy?
moment, Jacob opened the door. Seeing that I was in danger, he immediately shouted and rushed over. The kidnapper was discovered and immediately threw me to the ground. When Jacob chased after him, he climbed upon the fence and ran away. I was so scared that I cried non-stop.
Girl, you better
Jacob
quit.
quickly helped me into the house and called 911.
Into the house, into the store. You better
The
quit.
police took
They
the
know-
DNA of the
uh-uh.
abductor left in my fingernails for testing.
Period.
After that horrible night,
And
I quit my job at Dairy Queen
Good shit.
and no longer dared to go out alone.
'Cause ain't no
Sometimes, when I pass a Dairy Queen store, I hear the sound of a photograph and even feel a hand reaching out from the darkness.
And his damn giggle. That sick bastard. Y'all go watch that Best Friends one. It was crazy. What? So all of these was hitters. Hitters on hitters on hitters. Number one, I told y'all that someone was gonna be what? To be honest, it was exactly what I said. It's what? Passengers attacking the drivers and the drivers attacking the passengers. And the last one wasn't even either or, it was a Dairy Queen mix. But like I said, y'all be careful, cause this shit is crazy. You have to be careful in Ubers because these people are weird. And Uber drivers, you have to be careful in Ubers because these people are weird. Like, it's neither here nor there. It's neither, more one-sided than another. People are truly weird, so y'all honestly have to be careful. Let me know what you thought of the video. And until next time, you guys, bye.